Hello, dear friends. Today we will be doing a softly spoken read through of Astrology for the Age of Aquarius by Jan Curls. This is something of a first for me, as my videos up until this point have been whispered. If you like softly spoken as well as whispered, prefer one over the other, let me know in the comments below. But I found this book at the bottom of a large pile of other books and papers at the bottom of my bed. Well, underneath my bed. I don't have a stash of things at the bottom of my bed. I'm not a hoarder. But you can see it's been damaged over time, which is a shame. Never like to see broken books. But it's quite an interesting book. I remember being given it when I was researching a potential book that I wanted to write about characters that had inherited the powers of their star sign. So I wanted to learn more about astrology in general. And this large book actually contains a lot of viewpoints, the story of astrology, some scientific evidence, understanding the Zodiac, the sun signs themselves in the Age of Aquarius, and a dictionary for astrologers as well. I suppose we should start at the beginning and have a look at the story of astrology. We have here some ancient astrologers looking up into the sky, the night sky. So, let's have a look. What kind of things can we see here? We've got city-states and civilizations written in the stars. What else? Star lore in Prehistory. Looking up on a clear night, it's not difficult to let oneself feel, as our Stone Age ancestors might have done, that what looks like the dome of heaven swinging slowly over the earth is just a huge apparatus of lights. In primitive cultures, people do not feel that this apparatus is different in quality from the earth around them. The universe is all one. Trees and rivers and stars with a life of their own, and able to do good or harm to people. We could too accept, if we didn't know otherwise, that the earth we are standing on is fixed eternally in its place at the centre of the grand and stately spectacle of the sky. In the simple with our own eyes view, we would notice, for example, that two of the moving points of light, the ones named Mercury and Venus, stay fairly close to the sun. Sometimes we would see that they moved slowly in a west to east direction between us and the sun, while at other times we would see them moving in an east to west direction on the far side of the sun. So people would view the way in which the stars passed over the sky and find meaning in them. And here we have the 4,000-year-old inlaid panel in the British Museum in London called the Standard of Ur, which shows the Sumerian priests, scribes and astrologers at the top of the social hierarchy, while farmers and nomads are seen in the lower bands, bringing in produce to them for registration. And this is important because we're talking about the Sumerian daybreak here. You need to know exactly when the flooding would occur so that crops could be sown beforehand. So the trick was to count the exact number of days between the regular appearances, and the idea of the calendar was born. Keeping track of 365 days in a row, though, had its problems for pre-literate people because they didn't have numbering systems that were up to it, so it's better to count the new moons. But then the sequence never came out at the same seasons of the year, so the search was on for other regular appearances in the night sky in which people could anchor their heavenly calendar. In Mesopotamia, they were able to find them in rising and settings of individual stars, such as Arcturus, the Alphabutis, and the brightest star in the northern hemisphere, or distinctive constellations such as the Pleiades or Seven Sisters. In Egypt, the valley of the Nile, which was ideally marked out for the growth of early human settlements. Like a tube of fertility running through the desert of northern Africa, it could be entered at both ends, and it seemed that people moved up from the south to populate the riverbanks, while the enormous delta on the Mediterranean was the home of groups open to influences and possibly also to immigration from Western Asia. They'd ceased to rely on hunting and gathering and had taken up the new life cycle of farming. The rhythm of their lives was set by the great annual flooding of the Nile, which deposited rich silt on the riverbanks, which all growth depended, which of course meant careful timing needed to be applied to planting. Like everyone else in prehistoric ages, the Egyptians used the moon to mark a unit of time. However, they were unable to divide the year that ran from one Sothis day to the next into equal moons. So they made a calendar of 12 nominal months of 30 days each, and threw in 5 bonus days at the end of the year to make up the full number of 365. But the problem with the calendar was that, as all the Egyptians must have noticed, was that Sirius rises a day later every 4 years. So the calendar soon began to slip out of sync with the sun and with the seasons, and not to mention with the Nile flood. So the result was that it took 1460 years for Sothis Day to come back to its proper coincidence with the star's heliacal rising. And I'm guessing that's where we've got leap years from. And the Egyptians had a zodiac, a system of 36 star gods, called in Greek the decans, or the decans. Long before the Egyptians had heard of the Babylonian scheme of the zodiac divided into 12 houses, they'd noticed that a different constellation rose up over the horizon behind the sun at regular 10-day intervals throughout the year. Here we have the fertile silt deposited by the flooding of the Nile, making a garden in the desert. It was an annual miracle, they believed, that they owed to a god named Happy, pictured there on the papyrus. We have the Stonehenge in its final form as seen from the air. The original heel stone stands in the entrance gap at the left of the photograph here, facing the sunrise on midsummer's morn. So you have the eclipse calculator as well. The final glory of Stonehenge. With their Bronze Age culture, the Wessex people were the architects of the splendid Stonehenge, unique in northwestern Europe, the remains of which we can admire today. The layout was changed to allow for enhanced alignments and surprise views. More than 81 huge sarsen stones or monoliths were transported from the Marlborough Downs to the site and set up as an imposing outer circle of 30 uprights joined by lintels and enclosing an inner horseshoe layout of 5 trilithons. We have the Pythagoreans, the Astrologia and the Astronomia, the Hellenistic astrology. This is a detail of a carving on a sarcophagus from Sidon, showing Alexander the Great in battle against the Persians at Issus. Like most of his family, Sota, son of Cornelius Polios of West Thebes, wished to be buried under the gaze of the benign sky goddess Nut. Inside the lid of the wooden coffins on which their mummified bodies lay, Nut was painted between 2 rows of the signs of the Greco-Babylonian zodiac. This custom in the 2nd century AD would have seemed as foreign to ancient Egyptian embalmers as the Greek origin family itself. There's a huge amount of detail here. Astral secrets of the pharaohs, learning translated by Islam, the Jewish Golden Age in Spain, the Middle Ages in Europe, from Renaissance to rationalism. The famous 1660 engraving of the Copernican solar system in a two-dimensional view that was published to popularize the sun-centered alternative proposed by the new astronomy. The zodiac still retained its place of honor round the circumference. Wow, that's a very finely worked example of an astrolabe, faithful to the Ptolemaic concept of the universe, made in 1548 by George Hartmann of Nuremberg. Hindu astrology, China, the red and the yellow path, Europeans bringing Western instruments as a gift to the emperor at the Winter Palace, Peking. The huge celestial and armillary spheres depicted in this silk and metal thread tapestry were copied from the Jesuits' observatory at Peking. So the concept of the zodiac is a belt of sky around the celestial sphere, about 18 degrees in width, tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees relative to the Earth's equator. It's centered on the ecliptic, which is the projection of the Earth's orbit to the celestial sphere. It passes through the 12 zodiac constellations and is the pathway along which the sun, moon and planets appear to move, apart from Pluto, whose orbit is eccentric. Every 24 hours, the zodiac appears to pass clockwise overhead, carrying the sun, moon and the planets with it. This is of course an illusion created by the anti-clockwise rotation of the Earth. Otherwise the zodiac is invisible, and its position can only be detected by observing the positions of the planets at night time, just as one can trace the night flight path of an aircraft by watching its navigation lights tracing a pathway in the sky. So here the zodiac is confined to a narrow band of 18 degrees wide and centered on the ecliptic, the projection of the Earth's orbit onto the celestial sphere. Most of the planets in the solar system have orbital paths whose planes almost coincide with the ecliptic, and so appear to us to follow a pathway along the zodiac. The exceptions are Mercury, the planet nearest the Sun, which deviates by 7 degrees from the ecliptic, and Pluto, the outermost known planet, which deviates up to 17 degrees, 10 degrees from the ecliptic. As the zodiac circle had no beginning, it was necessary to invent one, and the best suggestion offered was the point where the planes of the two great circles, the ecliptic and the equator, intersect, at the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. The time when the sun is on its journey along the ecliptic is poised ready to cross the equator, and its declination is 0. When this point was agreed, the sun appeared to cross the equator at 0 degrees Aries, and so the beginning of the zodiac became the first point of Aries. This is the first cardinal point, and then the other 3 are the first point of Libra, which marks the autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere, spring equinox in the southern, the first point of Cancer, which is in the northern hemisphere, marking the summer solstice when the sun's at its highest declination, and the first point of Capricorn, which in the northern hemisphere marks the winter solstice when the sun is at its lowest declination. The equinoxes are so called because days and nights are equal. The solstices are so called because they are the 2 points when the sun appears to stand still at its lowest or highest point in the sky before continuing on its journey towards the opposite solstice. The origin of the term zodiac is derived from the Greek zodiakos, which means little animals or creatures. The Chaldeans of Mesopotamia wove magical mythological pictures around the various star clusters, and these myths were adopted and transformed by the Babylonians, Egyptians, and ultimately the Greeks, each of whom made their own contributions. Although many different zodiacs have been invented, all have a common idea in mind: to measure the positions of the celestial bodies in the heavens. Astrologically, they are measured along the ecliptic, but with astronomy and navigation, measurements are made on the celestial equator. And the star signs in the zodiac. Whereas the zodiacal constellations differ greatly in size and shape, the 12 signs occupy 30 degrees each, measured along the ecliptic. The fixed stars are not limited to the zodiac constellations, which is clearly seen as they're scattered over the whole dome of the sky. However, some very important ones do lie in the zodiac. For instance, Antares, Alpha Scorpii, Aldebaran, Alpha Tauri, the red giant star situated in the eye of the bull, and Regulus, Alpha Leonis, in the constellation Leo. And astrology is earth-centered. Astronomy is sun-centered. Much of the confusion that exists springs from the difference in the starting point. From our position on Earth, the constellations and planets appear to move in a clockwise direction, but this is an illusion due to the anti-clockwise rotation of the Earth itself. The planet's proper motion is anti-clockwise. The Earth moves around the Sun at a mean distance of 150 million kilometers, or 93 million miles, the actual distance changing a little throughout the year due to variations in the Earth's orbit. Yet from our position on Earth, the Sun appears to travel around the zodiac in 1 year, spending roughly a month in each sign. Few people understand the true meaning of the statement that the Sun is in a sign. This, in effect, is an illusion caused by our view of the Sun from our position on Earth. For example, when we're on Earth and we're moving through Virgo and we look at the Sun, it will appear to be in Pisces. And apart from the position of the observer, the astronomical and astrological zodiac is the same. Astrologically, however, the Earth is the focal point in the centre. Instead of consulting the sky directly, astrologers draw up charts to represent the heavens at the time of birth or other event, and plot the positions of the planets from ephemeриdes, prepared from the known movements of the celestial bodies. So this is a picture of the heavens on the 4th of August 1990 from the sun-centered viewpoint, showing the position of the planets relative to the zodiac. The Sun is not in any sign, but sits at the center of the solar system. The heavens on the same date from an Earth-centered viewpoint. The Earth is not in a sign, but sits in the center, and the Sun and the fast-moving planets have shifted, relatively speaking. The Sun is 12 degrees in Leo. The Moon is 17 degrees in Capricorn. Mercury is in Virgo. Venus is in Cancer. Mars is in Taurus. Jupiter is in Cancer. Saturn is in Capricorn. Uranus is in Capricorn. Neptune is in Capricorn. And Pluto is in Scorpio. So the horoscopes derived from the Greek horoscopos, ora, which is an hour, and skopos, observer. A horoscope is a map of the heavens compiled for any time or place for astrological purposes and study. A horoscope drawn up for a birth time is called a birth chart. A natus, nativity, or geniture. A birth chart is a map of the heavens erected for the time of birth and is a blueprint of its subject's life. So before a birth chart can be drawn up, the date, time, and place of birth have to be established. And then building the chart is usually in a circular grid here, so the horoscopic wheel is a graphic framework on which a representation of the heavens at the time of birth or other event can be drawn. The narrow outer rim is divided into 36 segments of 10 degrees to make the plotting of planetary positions easier. Next comes the 12 30-degree segments that contain the zodiac signs. 0 degrees of one sign coincides with 30 degrees of the next at the cusp, and the dividing line between signs or houses. The innermost wheel represents the 12 numbered astrological houses. Signs and houses run in anti-clockwise order round the chart. The zodiac signs are also subdivided into 3 qualities: cardinal, fixed, and mutable, and 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Both sequences run concurrently anti-clockwise from Aries. So I suppose this has how we figure out the aspects where somebody sits in relation to their birth and whether or not they're an air sign or a water sign. Major aspects and minor aspects. I didn't realise this was so complex. I don't know about you. Oh, that's a lovely illustration there. Yes, we now have this section here which takes us through the individual sun signs in the Age of Aquarius. So let's have a look at what each of these mean. We have Aries, the ram, ruled by Mars, a masculine positive cardinal fire sign. Lasting from the 21st of March to approximately 20th of April. Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, which gives the sign its individual pioneering and adventurous spirit. Most Arians are daring, independent, active, and impulsive. It is not unusual to find them among the world's explorers and leaders of expeditions, and they're not afraid to take risks and rarely abandon things they take on. Arians with a good birth chart in which Mars is well placed will direct their energy, courage, and spirit of enterprise to sensible and useful ends to further their ambitions. Their outgoing nature can bring a high degree of success in life if they follow the right type of career. Usually they like to explore untried ground, trade in new areas, and develop fresh ideas and projects. Dull routine work is not for Mars people who need freedom and a challenge in life. At competitive sports and games, Arians generally excel. This gives them the opportunity to burn up some of their high energy reserves. As a rule, their rather restless type of temperament will not allow them to continue with situations they find irritating, whether this concerns work or their personal life. In many instances, it pays a partner to take a back seat to maintain harmony, because Arians find it difficult to compromise. However, if sparks do fly, anger rarely lasts long, and grievances are soon forgotten. But Arians are leaders, and they abhor anybody getting in their way. If they're thwarted, they can be violent, aggressive, argumentative, or foolhardy. When in love, Arians can be possessive and jealous, yet they are faithful and rather idealistic. Many have good creative talents, which remain dormant or sadly neglected simply because they are too busy with other demanding interests to bother about them. In the Age of Aquarius, Arians could care more for the local environment, education, writing, communications, and close family ties, which are matters concerned with the third zodiac sign. Here we have Taurus, the bull, a feminine, negative fixed earth sign, lasting approximately from the 21st of April to the 21st of May. Most Taurians are practical, careful, and capable. They like to take life in their stride and dislike rushing about. Strong, stable, steady, and dependable, with a placid nature that is poised and controlled, typically Taurian. But there is another side of the Taurian character that displays a strong sense of obstinacy if their principles are questioned. The Taurian temper is not easily aroused, but when provoked, this sign, symbolized by the bull, can be fiery, difficult, and stubborn. Usually, however, Taurus subjects are easygoing, romantic, and strongly attracted to the opposite sex. Usually they're patient, charming, and very affectionate people, but they can be jealous and possessive. As a rule, they are kind and considerate people with a flair for entertaining their friends in a generous manner. They enjoy opportunities to mix business with pleasure because they are fairly ambitious as a rule and like to achieve their aims. As an earth sign, Taurus people are usually happy living in the country, closer to Mother Earth, and many find contentment when tending a garden and nurturing plants. Like the other Venus subjects, Librans, Taurians often show talent in art and design, and many have a liking and aptitude for some music, singing, acting, and culture. This sign has a strong sense of self-preservation and rarely takes risks. Taurians value security, both in personal relationships and in their business life, and they make adept business people with the ability to make money and hold on to it. They like working to a plan and will not change their ways or opinions. If a Taurus person fails to realize ambitions early in life, the struggle will continue until a goal is reached. Taurians will never give up trying, and eventually they're likely to succeed by perseverance and determination. In the Age of Aquarius, Taurians could become more involved with home and private life blithe with increased interest in houses, land, real estate and gardens. Of course, I imagine this book was published quite a long time ago, so this part here where it says strongly attracted to the opposite sex, I'm sure it's not implying that you must be hetero to be a Taurian. Of course not. A bit outdated. Let's move on to our next one. Let's go. My gloves sometimes work against me. Gemini, the twins, ruled by Mercury in a masculine, positive, mutable air sign, running approximately the 22nd of May to the 23rd of June. Most Gemini people are adaptable, versatile, lively, clever, and intelligent. This basically is an intellectual sign that is closely concerned with facts, figures, reason, and logic. Although as a rule good at detailed work, Geminians tend to lack concentration and are inconsistent and indecisive. They're bright, vivacious, physically attractive, yet changeable in their moods, whims, or fancies. They never seem to be the same from one moment to the next, hence they are often called the butterflies of the zodiac. Gemini is a dual sign, and like the twins, they blend and separate two natures in one. Possibly for this reason, they can take on more than one thing at a time, usually becoming quite clever at a number of things, yet rarely specialising in one subject, mostly because they lack staying power and flit from one thing to another. The restless, active and agile Geminian mind needs variety, and these Mercury subjects are renowned for starting things and leaving them unfinished. They quickly become bored and have little patience with mundane matters. As a rule, they are talented people with a keen sense of humour and a charm of their own, but they have a highly strung nervous system and often find it difficult to settle to a routine job. Yet, Geminis excel at all types of communication. They make good journalists, writers, lecturers, commentators, sales executives, radio or TV presenters, and telephone operators. Physically, Geminis usually retain their youth longer than people born under the other zodiac signs. With their lively imagination and wide selection of interests, they have not much time to grow old. Given the right partner, Geminis can love deeply, but frequently they tend to be fickle and may be constantly looking for new interests or seeking the unknown. Many marry more than once or have two meaningful relationships in life. In the Age of Aquarius, Gemini's interests could shift more to the lighter side of life, to pleasure, creative activities, social life and love relationships, also to new enterprises and speculation in various fields. Here we have Cancer, the crab, ruled by the moon, a feminine negative cardinal water sign, running approximately the 23rd of June to the 23rd of July. Most Cancerians have a sympathetic, emotional and sensitive nature that is kind, warm-hearted and affectionate, but they tend to be affected by the phases of the moon more than the other signs of the zodiac, which makes them quite quiet, moody and temperamental or changeable at times, and quite difficult to understand. However, their moods are not long-lasting and can vary like the wind. As a rule, they're very caring people who will go out of their way to help others. Usually, the Cancer personality is gentle, sentimental, very intuitive and imaginative. Moon subjects have a sympathetic heart that is very vulnerable and easily hurt. If they are upset, they will retreat into their shells to nurse or hide their grievances. They are great worriers and often worry about things that could never happen, yet they are too shy or reserved to discuss their worries with others. Cancerians have an emotional link with the past and never sever ties with home or loved ones unless this is absolutely essential. Many are inclined to be hoarders and store away food, clothes and anything that might come in useful for a rainy day. Others like collecting works of art, pictures, old books, stamps or trinkets, and will not discard anything of sentimental value. Cancer people are not usually wildly ambitious. Once they become established, they hold on grimly to material assets and refuse to let go. On the whole, they make good business people because they're thrifty, shrewd, and careful. There is more tenacity in Cancer than in other signs. A business project in hand will surely be brought to a satisfactory conclusion, but in personal matters, a Cancerian will cling on to a failing relationship when all other signs would call it a day. Moon subjects tend to be wary of strangers and are careful and selective when forming new friendships. Most Cancerians have strong feelings towards children, home, and loved ones. They like plants, flowers, and gardens, and are usually gifted artistically. In the Age of Aquarius, Cancerians could become more health conscious and keen to experiment with new diets. They would be more ambitious and keen to change their daily routine or find the type of work that is more appealing to them. Here we have Leo the lion, a masculine positive fixed fire sign, lasting approximately from the 24th of July to the 23rd of August. Leo is the sign of strength, pride, confidence, and courage. Leo people possess regal dignity. They are leaders and are usually to be found occupying positions of authority. They have good mental and emotional strength, ambition, a strong will, and a good deal of persistence. They love flattery and attention and revel in compliments. They have a natural charm and are very generous and affectionate. Leos like the good things in life, like nice clothes, furs, jewellery, and luxury of all kinds, and they will work extremely hard to obtain these things. They are clever artistically and creatively. Many succeed in the entertainment world and flourish under the glare of the spotlights. They make good organisers, actors, dancers, entertainers, sportsmen, company directors, publicity managers, film, TV, and showbiz presenters and personnel. At their best, Leos are cheerful, enthusiastic, optimistic, and good-natured. They are adept at organising things, not merely events, shows, and the like, but other people's lives. They are far better at helping others to run their lives than they are at organising their own. Personal relationships and marriage are often unlucky for Leos. Strangely, they are very sensitive, quite vulnerable, and easily hurt. Although very seldom depressed, a Leo can occasionally crumble and hit rock bottom if depression envelops them. Yet as a rule, such glooms will not last long. In fact, if things are not going too well, the strength of the Leo character comes to the fore, and Leo is never more determined or persistent than when his back is to the wall. Or their back is to the wall. Negative Leos might be pompous, dogmatic, snobbish, and patronising, but most Leos are positive and charming. Underneath their extrovert personality lies a good and loyal heart and a generous nature. Although they're free spenders, Leos are rarely without money. Usually somehow or somewhere they manage to find their pot of gold. In the Age of Aquarius, people could take a high interest in developing new partnerships, both business or personal. As Leo is the sign in polarity with Aquarius, there could be the right blend between the signs that prevents Aquarius from rushing ahead with scientific projects before they are ready. Here, the strength of the lion and the leadership qualities of Leo could be put to use. Here we have Virgo, the Virgin, a feminine negative mutable earth sign, running approximately the 24th of August to the 23rd of September. Virgo people are dependable, sincere, neat, methodical, and precise. They have an inquiring mind and a critical eye for detail. They're hard workers and very practical, thrive on constant activity, have lots of nervous energy to burn. Hence they find it difficult to relax, or constantly making or mending things, or working on new projects to keep their mercurial minds fully occupied. They see life as a never-ending series of tasks and duties, some pleasant, some difficult, but all of them very necessary. Precision and neatness comes naturally to a Virgoan. Their mental sharpness inclines them to compartmentalize life into self-contained segments. Usually they aim for perfection and cannot rest until every tiny detail has been executed to their satisfaction. A Virgo person's flair for detail can dominate the whole personality at times, resulting in criticism, discrimination, and a tendency to find fault with others. Often they show considerable interest in health and hygiene. Many become vegetarians or take a special interest in diets. At times they worry about health unnecessarily, bordering on hypochondria, and become prey to stomach or digestive disorders. As a rule, Virgos are quiet and demonstrative people, quite happy to work by themselves in the background, tending to avoid the limelight and publicity. They are reserved, cautious towards strangers, and can be slow at forming new friendships. But they are truthful and loyal to those they trust. They're usually quite happy working in a job that calls for precision, shrewdness and logic, and make good researchers and analysts, teachers, secretaries, literary critics, reporters, dietitians and nurses. In the Age of Aquarius, Virgoans could become more money-orientated, turning their attention to the manipulation of financial affairs and dabbling with stocks, shares and longer-term property assets. Here we have Libra, the scales, ruled by Venus in a masculine positive cardinal air sign, lasting from approximately the 24th of September to the 23rd of October. Librans are lovers of harmony and justice. They're sociable, charming people, usually good-natured, easygoing, cheerful, romantic and idealistic, but easily influenced by others. They dislike living alone and need a happy and lasting relationship. Indecision is a problem for Librans, who find it difficult to make up their minds, mostly due to their strong sense of justice and the fact that they can clearly see another person's point of view, hence they hesitate to take sides. Their motto seems to be, let's wait and see what happens. As Venus subjects, Librans have a highly developed sense of beauty. Many are artistically creative and talented in design or decor. They like home to be comfortable, pleasant and nicely furnished. They have a natural gift for entertaining and excel at putting people at their ease. Libran people will never willingly hurt another people's feelings because they have a gentleness of manner that is courteous and considerate. At heart, Librans are sentimental and affectionate. They're inclined to be extravagant with their money and their feelings, yet they place value on a placid lifestyle and pleasant working conditions, well away from discord and arguments. Unpleasantness and a quarrelsome atmosphere can hurt them deeply, and they can become irritable or moody. Usually, Librans have a very even temperament and never bear malice. They're inclined to compromise, so they make good arbitrators and peacemakers. They are not, as a rule, wildly ambitious, yet they value security. Librans may be attracted to careers in the luxury trades, including fashion, beauty, culture, designing, and art dealing. Many could do well in the diplomatic service or in the world of entertainment, where they come in contact with the public and can use their Libran charm to advantage. In the Age of Aquarius, Librans might find an urge to travel, to visit foreign countries and learn a newer language, or otherwise to broaden the mind by further education. Here we have Scorpio, a feminine negative fixed water sign, running from the 24th of October to approximately the 22nd of November. Most Scorpios have an intense emotional nature. No other signs of the Zodiac have more profound and enduring feelings than Scorpio. Pluto people possess a strong sense of purpose and treat life in a very serious way, with great determination, never doing things by halves. Usually they work and play hard and live life to the full. They concentrate fiercely on their objectives. They're highly imaginative, subtle, discerning, and persistent. Scorpio's powerful feelings can be directed into various different areas in life. For many, this will concern their personal life, or others, career or business takes high priority, with an obsession to reach a certain goal. With an analytical mind capable of penetrating to the very depths of problems, their reasoning is usually right. They have a natural talent for disguising their feelings, and it's difficult to penetrate their outer self. Scorpio will not compromise nor accept defeat. Pluto subjects can be very jealous and often spiteful towards those who stand in their way. They can also be secretive, devious, and suspicious. These qualities can apply not only to career, but to close relationships and worldly ambitions. At the same time, people born under this sign have a great ability to adapt to life's changes and can accept milestones, turning points, or crossroads, willingly leaving one path or another should circumstances demand this. They have the strength and determination to pick up the pieces and start all over again when it is necessary. There is a strange mysticism and magnetism in the Scorpio personality, often to be seen in the eyes, which seem to delve into one's very soul. Scorpios can burn with anger and resentment if their principles are put to the test. Make a friend of a Pluto person, and you have a friend for life. On the other hand, as an enemy, they can be most formidable. Once they form an opinion, whether if it concerns a person or an ideal, the fixity of Scorpio is paramount, and they will rarely, if ever, change their minds. In the Age of Aquarius, Scorpio could become highly involved with big business, with scientific research projects of importance, especially those that call for the deep analytical skill of the Scorpio mind. Here we have Sagittarius, the Archer, a masculine positive mutable fire sign, lasting from approximately the 23rd of November to the 22nd of December. And typical Sagittarians are optimistic, kind, generous, freedom-loving, versatile and dependable. They have above average mental abilities, possess good judgment and like to enjoy life. Many are interested in outdoor sports and games. They have a frank, open nature and are usually popular with friends. Sagittarians don't like to be tied down. They can tend to be restless people who love freedom, travelling and wandering. They do not care for discipline or confined spaces and cannot stand the slightest feeling of claustrophobia, either physical or emotional. For instance, working or living in a small room with no open outlook, or being tied down to an emotional relationship that is not entirely compatible will really upset them. If physical travel is not possible, the Sagittarian will travel mentally, studying new subjects or learning a language, which could keep them in touch with foreign countries and people, either for business or pleasure. In personal relationships, jealousy or possessiveness in a partner will quickly shrivel a Sagittarian's affections. Yet Jupiter people as a rule are honest, open-minded, and easy to get on with. One failing with this sign is a general lack of tact and a tendency to speak bluntly without thinking. Although such remarks may sound harsh, they are never intended to be harmful or hurtful. Sagittarians have an adventurous spirit, and in youth or middle age they could often be looking round the corner or over the hill to see what lies ahead. Similarly to their opposite sign Gemini in many ways, they can cope with several projects or interests at the same time. Their inquisitiveness is insatiable, therefore they start to accumulate knowledge from an early age, yet they tend to lack concentration and could easily lose interest in a line of study or hobby, and casually drop the subject as their enthusiasm wanes. Sagittarians need a challenge in life, or they will quickly become bored. Ruled by Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity and good fortune, Sagittarians are usually fairly lucky people. Their carefree, friendly personality often takes them far in life, and although they can be extravagant and careless over detail, they are one of the most fortunate and likeable of all the signs of the Zodiac. They are seldom anyone's enemy but their own. In the Age of Aquarius, Sagittarians, ruled by Jupiter, should find more success in life without having to struggle so hard to find it. They should have more time to enjoy life and follow their favourite pastime, travel to their heart's delight. Here we have Capricorn, the goat, a feminine negative cardinal earth sign, lasting from approximately the 23rd of December to the 19th of January. And most Capricorn people are reliable, careful, prudent, patient and persevering. They have an orderly mind and can be cool and calculating. They're usually determined and ambitious with a strong sense of discipline and a good head for business, usually directing their energies towards career interests, status and prestige. The Capricorn way to success is steadily upward progress, not the meteoric rise. They value their security too much to chance losing it by overreaching themselves. As a rule, they are generally rather conventional or serious. Often personal relationships are difficult because Saturn subjects will rarely unbend and show their innermost feelings. It takes infinite patience and deft understanding to penetrate their strong wall of defence. Yet those who have the gift to get through to a Capricornian could find no finer, no more enduring love. Capricorn people tend to be perfectionists, and they have the strength of character to bear considerable hardships, disappointments and setbacks in life. Although many Saturn subjects tend to be loners or people of few words, often they have a surprising and rather dour sense of humour, and their dry comments on life can be most amusing. Usually they are fond of music, opera, drama, and the arts, and they're clever with facts, finance, and mathematics, and can devote much time to further their career. Some Capricorn people can be a very good company and outwardly quite charming, but beneath this outward cloak they are still Saturn subjects, sensible, determined, clever, and superior, with a respect for wisdom, authority, and age. In the Age of Aquarius, Capricorns, often successful in scientific work that calls for mathematical skill, could find much demand for their talents. Good at taking responsibility, Capricorns should flourish. Here we have Aquarius, the water carrier. A masculine positive fixed air sign running approximately the 20th January to the 19th of February. And is my star sign. I'm an Aquarian. So the Aquarian character is kind, friendly, but rather distant, and frequently unpredictable, often difficult to understand. Aquarian people tend to be fairly aloof, but usually this is because others do not follow their reasoning nor understand the working of the Aquarian mind. Their own thinking is often well ahead of its time, and is clear-cut, rational, intelligent, and intuitive. Problems in any area of life are approached analytically. Personal independence is important to those born under this sign, and they will make every effort to maintain it. The Aquarian personality has an aloof glamour that is often fascinating and dynamic, yet is sometimes not all that warm or endearing. In emotional relationships and marriage, an Aquarian likes to retain a certain degree of independence, and this calls for understanding and tolerance from a partner, but when happily married they will be faithful and loyal. Aquarians are strong believers in the truth and will not willingly tell a lie. Always a humanitarian with sympathy for the underdog, they are in favour of reform and change, and especially the advancements of conditions surrounding human living and working environments. They are very concerned about the well-being of society. Many people think that Aquarius is a water sign, but the liquid that Aquarius is pouring from his urn is from the well of knowledge. He is concerned with pooling the human resource so that all might benefit. Those ruled by Uranus, as are Aquarians, are original, inventive, and usually interested in science, modern technology, radio, computers, and television. Many are keen on astrology, astronomy, space travel, and flying. In the Age of Aquarius, Aquarians come into their own. Aquarius is the sign of the future, ruled by unpredictable Uranus. The children of the Aquarian age will lead humanity into a glorious future of progress and freedom. But as Aquarian children will be born in all places throughout the world with different backgrounds, cultures, and religions, the establishment of worldwide harmony may take some time. I'm not really particularly a subscriber to astrology, but there is a lot of lovely stuff said in there that I will not disagree with. And lastly, we have the Pisces, the fishes, a feminine negative mutable water sign, lasting from approximately the 20th of February to the 20th of March, and endeavouring to evaluate the soft, sensitive, and unworldly character of Piscean is like delving into the mysterious world of dreams and the unknown. This is a water sign that flows hither and thither, symbolised by two fishes swimming in different directions, yet held together by a gossamer thread. These gentle, compassionate people are so very susceptible to outside influences, they rarely possess a strong individual character of their own. Usually they're involved with other people's thoughts and feelings, and seem to blend with those close to them. Most Pisceans tend to live halfway between their secret personal dream world and reality. They're very kind, sensitive people, sympathetic, receptive, unworldly, adaptable, and intuitive. They have an extremely active and creative imagination, which gives them a flair for writing, acting, dancing, poetry, and music. A true Piscean is unlikely to be highly ambitious or keen on competitive games, yet they will enjoy swimming, sailing, and all forms of water sports. As a rule, routine and an orderly household is foreign to the average Piscean, who can be quite oblivious to chaos or muddle. Many of their ideas are quite impractical, yet when they concern anything artistic or creative, Pisces can be brilliant. Mostly they are highly intuitive and often can be attracted to mysticism, the occult, and spiritual sciences. Basically, however, Pisceans need to identify or belong to someone with a strong character who can act as a source of inspiration and guidance and bring out the best in them. Theirs is a rather vague and dreamy personality with a charm of its own. They are romantic and vulnerable and have an almost overwhelming need for security in personal relationships. They usually seek a kindly, considerate, yet strong-minded partner who is capable of making the decisions. Pisceans are easily hurt and need plenty of encouragement, as they tend to lack self-confidence. They dislike criticism, arguments, or discord, which could make them moody or depressed and upset. Neptune people are usually very caring, with a strong and genuine desire to help others. Often this attracts them to the sick and needy, to nursing, social work, or to a career in the medical profession. In the Age of Aquarius, Pisceans could become more involved with second sign interests, such as material resources, business, finance, and property. And then we are taken over to the Dictionary for Astrologers, which is incredibly extensive. So I will leave that to you to enjoy at another date, because we have spent a long time looking at these star signs. I hope you've enjoyed listening to your own. Please leave in the comments below if you agree with the star sign written out for you. And what do you think of astrology? Do you subscribe to it? What value do you think it has? Please keep comments civil. Thank you for joining me for this read-through of astrology in the Age of Aquarius. I look forward to having you join me next time. But until then, goodbye.